Now is the part where we have some real fun with this mirror switch, because it's one of the most popular items on the GMT 400 trucks 95 and up to break. This centerpiece right here loves to just snap off. So it's going to be interesting getting it apart and getting lights into it without breaking it. And unfortunately, this whole thing here, if I want to put LEDs in it, I am going to have no choice but to get into the wiring harness for it, cut the wire that goes to the interior lighting, and put resistors in series with the wiring instead of internal to the set, because of the way these things are designed and the fact that there's no way to put a resistor on these things. Now, something that's cool to note, I got into my spare parts from my old Blazer, 99 S10 4-door Blazer, and I have these. So I actually have a few that I can work on and not have to worry about the wiring in the truck just yet. So these can stay as they are. Now, unfortunately, the mirror switch in the S10 Blazers and S10 pickups are not the same as the ones in the GMT 400 pickups or SUVs. So this one I'm just gonna have to leave out and just hope I don't need to adjust my mirrors anytime soon until I get the wiring done in there for the LEDs. These, on the other hand, I can just do ahead of time. So this one's got the one right there, this one's got one there and one there. And actually, even if I did just do it in this housing right now, this switch is identical to the one on the passenger side in the GMT 400 pickups as it is to the S10. And this one, while the back two switches obviously won't have any effect at all, will still work in my truck. Just obviously without those two window switches doing anything. I just went out and tested it just now, and the lock switch works and the front two window switches work. So if I wanted to put LEDs all through this thing right now, I could very well do that and still retain my stock switches until I do the resistors in the wiring. So that's pretty cool to note. Now, to start with, getting the mirror switch is actually pretty easy, because all you have to do is release this tab and release this tab on the other side. So let's see how much of a pain that's going to be. There we go, there's one. And then the other one's pretty simple, because unless you know what you're looking for, you won't know it, but there's actually a recess right here. It makes it easy to get a screwdriver down in there and just pull that right out. And then the whole thing just, whoop, right there. The more fun part is getting into the main body of the switch. Now, I've had this thing apart once already, so I know what I need to do. And I need to find my other miniature screwdriver to do it. Now, where the fuck is it? There it is. Okay. Okay, other screwdriver has been gotten. What I have to do with this thing is stick one screwdriver up underneath this side and stick the other screwdriver up underneath this side and pull simultaneously so I don't break There we go. Perfect. And I didn't break it. And you see that little bitty thing in the middle there is what loves to break on these switches. And once it breaks, you gotta replace the whole darn switch. So I really don't want to break that. Then, next, this whole piece comes off. Just like that. Because all that holds it on is this kind of a spring plastic thing on this little ball right here. So that's easy. And it gives you perfect access to the light bulbs. There's one on each edge. Now the cool thing about the way that's set up, and also the kind of uncool thing about it is, look where the L and the R. While these might actually get the same amount of light from both lights, that L is going to be so freaking bright. So, oh well, I guess we can live with that. Actually, I kind of wonder how it doesn't end up that way with the stock lighting, to be honest with you. But these bulbs just come right out. I'm gonna have to pull them out with the pliers because of where they're located, but they're easy. They just slip in, and I'll show you in a minute why that is. You pull that one out too. They're both the same. Okay, now let's say you want to clean the contacts on the mirror switch itself inside. Well, all you got to do is just release this little tab right here, release this tab right here, and release this tab right here. Come on, don't break off. There we go. And then you have access to the main body of the switch. And then this just pops off and you can clean the contacts or whatever you really want to do with it. Mine has been working pretty well, so I'm not going to worry about it. But if you look here, you can see where the light bulbs actually clip in. They just slip right down into there, so that's pretty cool. I gotta check real quick to see if LEDs are even gonna fit in there. Oh, just barely. Oh, it doesn't like it. So that might be a little interesting, and unfortunately getting resistors in there is going to be pretty much impossible, so I'm going to have to modify the wiring like I mentioned before. But other than that, we're looking pretty good here. Ow, that didn't feel so good. So LEDs getting into this thing should be pretty easy, but I'm going to have major hot spots for sure, particularly on that L, and yeah. Don't even know if I'm going to get lights to the arrows at all. We'll see what happens when I get the wiring modified up there. But that's pretty much it. And then putting it back together is actually really simple, because you don't have to worry about breaking anything. Because when you go to put this back on, you just push it straight down and it's on. It just clips on. Works out pretty well. So that's pretty much it. Get your LEDs put in there. You're gonna have to cut your leads, of course, very short so they'll actually fit. Let me see. I might actually, well, yeah, they fit down there pretty well. Yeah, it fits in there. Might actually get a decent light output throughout the whole switch. I don't know. Yeah, maybe, because that white line is going to be what carries the light, so that might actually do pretty well. Oh, that's why the L doesn't overdo it, because they got the little blocker in there. Well, maybe it'll work well, maybe it won't. We shall see when it comes to that. Oh, one thing I did forget to mention is make sure you know which polarity is which. This one and this one are ground. So both of the outers. I just tested that using my little breadboard over here with these two LEDs right here. My blue wire is my ground, and this red wire is resisted by my 470 ohm resistor. So pin G, which is the first one over, or actually the second one over from the left, is my hot, and the first pin over here is my ground, according to this wiring diagram, which I have verified with the truck. And as you can see, it works. So there we go. Now I have what I need to put LEDs in this thing, except the resistors in the truck itself, which need to be done. But we'll get to that eventually. And I'm thinking, maybe, I might just tear these whole darn switches apart and replace that. Because, let's face it, these look so much better than that. Well, as it turns out, I actually had a couple LEDs that had short leads already, so I went ahead and stuck them in there, and it actually doesn't look half bad. Of course, you won't be able to see it right now, because the light's on, but it's not bad. There you go. So actually, the left side's not getting as much light as I thought it would from these LEDs, so the light is actually pretty evenly distributed across the entire switch. which is great. I was not at all expecting that. So that is how it's going to look when it gets dropped in. Coolness. That makes me a happy person.